You're here and that's all that matters. Okay, I am going to call us to order at 10:04 this morning. Our first order of business will be to elect a temporary chair to run our meeting this morning.
Is there a nomination for chair?
I nominate Dennis.
There's a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's it.
Citizens' comments this morning?
No comments. Have
No
you all?
comments related to the certificates. So, good. First order of business under new business is the certificate of appropriateness review for 311 Main Street in the west end of the historic district. And you have that in your packet. Do we have people who are going to speak to that this morning?
You know, I thought we were going to, but I have not seen Brett in my lobby yet. So I think we'll just go through what we have. And if he shows up, he shows up. And if he doesn't, I think it'll be okay.
You have the packet in front of you. You've had it at home, hopefully.
So this is for an exterior exhaust duct for the Bojack's broiler pit. It is a fan that goes on the outside of the building. The new fan will meet the requirements of our International Fire Code and International Mechanical Code. They did include pictures that were sent to you of what the current exhaust fan looks like. It is up under the canopy. It's a big square, basically. The new exhaust fan, it kind of did like a copy and paste. So the new one has this kind of circular, looks like a big mixing bowl, but it does go sideways on it, so it sticks out on the side. But that is basically what it is. And then they've given you kind of a little drawing. So you can see that it sits underneath that canopy that is existing. It goes in that same location and it'll just protrude out into that
First
canopy.
looked at that and I thought, no, there's the canopy pot up there.
No, it's tucked up under there. You can see they have the existing metal canopy and it's tucked up under there, right where the existing vent grate is currently. But it will protrude out a little bit more because that's what they are now. So that is what is in front of you for this particular one. So I gave everybody review sheet.
This is a really interesting one.
It is, and I meant to go look at what we had reviewed under G&A Wheel and Frame when they had done their AC a couple of years ago, because we had those two AC units that were on the outside of the building. And I don't remember which ones you guys decided were a thing.
So as we look at this, there's
So I think we just
obviously,
read through them and figure out which one that's gonna be.
you want to see, we'll figure it out first. I didn't know we were dealing with a roof, not dealing with a roof.
Nope, it's not on the roof. It is on the side of the building.
And not a awning, not a canopy.
I think we might be able to consider it under L, where it talks about service structures, such as garbage, utility, self-storage, place were not visible from the walkways. I would consider this part of utility items for a building. So I think that one is something you guys could look at, because I think that would be applicable. I think that's probably the most applicable. I'm looking to see if there's any others that talk about.
But that was, I thought it was, that's really tough one.
Oh, that's right here.
Do we want to walk through that section to see if we find it?
Number 8 on L.
Service
Yeah, I think
structures.
8 on
eight
L
is the
is
only
kind of
one
the
that really
big one.
applies.
Okay, so let's just go through and we'll, for the record, we will,
Eight.
not applicable, the rest of them.
Right, everything else is not applicable, so we're going to take and move to section K. And I believe number 8. Service structures such as garbage, utilities, and storage placed where not visible from main streets or walkways. Screening, vegetation, or compatible walls or structures is generally appropriate.
And Mr. Kinzer has just walked in, so if you guys do have questions about the unit itself or any of that kind of stuff, he is here.
No.
Very little of that is going to be seen.
I know.
What's the feeling of the group? Is that?
That's applicable, I think,
Okay,
the awning. The
Covered by the
appropriate way
awnings.
to hide it, so it's. Don't really have a section that says exhaust.
No, there's not, and I had mentioned before we
Yeah.
started the meeting that we've run into this when we've done mechanical things like this that are for, you know, heating or ventilation or whatever. And at some point, if the commission might want to propose a code change where we would add items like that to the list of exemptions for the West End Historic District. Because they're normally done just because of they need to be updated, they're not working anymore. And I know that there are sections where it talks about, you know, reuse of a building and those sorts of things, but mechanical, electrical, you know, those systems are not specifically identified, so. But if the
Sure.
group otherwise thinks that the rest of the items are not applicable to this particular proposal and that just the number 8 under L is what we're gonna work with, then that would be fine. I think that that is appropriate.
that okay with you? So then I would entertain a motion for approval of the certificate of appropriateness.
I move that we approve certificate of appropriateness for 311 Main Street.
It's been moved by Craig. Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. The second consideration this morning is for, I believe, 215, I remember. What was
410,
that?
410.
410.
410
I'm
Main
looking at
Street.
215. Because I'm looking at that. 215 D Street is ours.
Yeah, that's good. You're looking at the top
Well,
of the
good
page.
Lord, I'm looking at the top line instead. So we are dealing with 410 Main Street. Have that in your packet.
This is a proposal from Lewis Clark State College, and they are doing some remodeling on their dorm building for being able to use that first floor space. And they are proposing a steel canopy on the roof of the building. Sounds like maybe the steel canopy was part of the original building plan, but was never installed. We do have representatives from both the architectural firm and from the college if there are questions about what is being proposed. And they were kind enough to provide some very good photos and depictions that were included in it.
In that area, we have other canopies that are similar, for example, in the library.
Yep.
Walk away.
Yep, the library does have a similar kind of steel
We're not dealing with compatibility issue there.
situation. And then the bottom of that building is, you know, concrete, so it's not like a decorative brick or something like that. So I think what is being presented blends in with the current state of the building. And I think that that is what is.
We'll run through this packet. Are there comments that you want to make before we run through? This is a little bit easier for us than.
Seems you touched on this.
We've got everything we
I
need.
mean, everything that Katie says is kind of what I was gonna touch on, so.
And if you hear us going astray, don't feel that you need to just sit there, okay?
Raise your hand. We will let you speak.
Okay. So we are looking at the review in section A, brick, stone, and concrete buildings with brick exterior walls may be structural load-bearing brick or simply a brick veneer covering another structure. Does anyone see any? That does not apply, right? Not applicable? Everybody in agreement with that? Agreed? Metals. Metals were often used in historical buildings, particularly for ornamental elements such as columns and cornices, and utilitarian features such as a door and window hardware. There, right? That's correct. Even though we have metal, I don't believe that's it. We're not dealing with section C for wood. And we're not dealing with section D for design guidelines, right?
I know historic building elements.
Not old enough to have acquired its own. Okay, no windows in section E. Section F, doors, I don't believe we have anything we're dealing with there. We're not dealing with the roof, whatever part of the country you're from.
Hey, look, awnings and awnings and canopies.
Pardon?
I said, hey, look, awnings and canopies.
I think
Right,
so.
there we are, there we are.
So I think we are really concentrating on H. We have to run through all of them, sorry, that's just kind of the way that works. Maintaining and repairing existing historical canopies. Is that what we?
Yes, yes, very good.
Existing historical canopies or awnings or replacement with canopies or awnings that retain the appearance of the originals. Replacement of missing historical canopies or awnings with historical compatible design.
So this is not a missing one.
Not a missing one.
They are not. When the building was built, it was not built to replicate the previous structure that had burnt down. So it's definitely a building in its own right with its own look. It does blend well with.
So that's really where we're gonna catch it, is in that section.
Yeah. So I think that's what you're ultimately looking at is,
So we're gonna move out of awnings and chimneys, is that okay? And we'll move on and get to the
Yeah.
main features, chimneys and balconies, we're not dealing.
okay, so are we saying that we're not
That doesn't
applicable
apply.
on awnings and canopies? Yeah,
Right.
fantastic, thank you.
And then section K, were design guidelines for historic buildings.
Yes, because I think two would apply.
So number 2 is construction of additions compatible with the historical building in terms of scale, materials, and character, but easily distinguished from historical portions of the building. Since we know the building hasn't reached the level of historical designation, but we still have it's compatible with the neighborhood, which is what we're trying to achieve, and compatible with the style of the buildings. They're not trying to put something ugly on the building
Something that would look out of
or
place.
something that would look out of place. Are you comfortable with number 2?
Yep.
Yes, fantastic.
Don't have a roof addition, building modifications allowing barrier-free disabled access, no, we're not dealing with that. Preservation of additions that have achieved historic significance, we don't have that
Area.
there.
Oh, warrior.
Section L, I don't believe we're dealing with lighting. You don't.
You
have
guys are
any-
doing it.
There is some lights.
It's this underneath though, right?
They're
They're like,
underneath and they're identical to the ones we did put on the library as well.
yeah, they're like a
They're an
can,
exterior grade light fixture, yeah.
because they're not going on like the front of the building, they're just
They're
inside the
underneath.
can.
You can kind of see on that rendering, there's some white dots.
Yeah, I was gonna say
in
the
it
little
that's-
dots, right? So it's just
Do
can
like
lighting.
3 on the L.
So number 3 would work on L.
Mhm.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Use as, then that is use of simple low intensity lighting fixtures, casting a warm light similar to daylight, focused on building entrances, signs, and first floor detailing. Historical lighting fixtures should be preserved if possible. Modern fixtures should be compatible with the historical building and its surroundings in terms of size, scale, and color.
Nailed that one.
We are there.
We're not doing street lighting, we're not doing signs, we're not doing preferred building names.
So it looks like we have 2 sections.
I think. Those are the other ones. And that.
I think that's where we are. So we have 1 in K and 1 in L, is that right?
That's what I have marked so far.
Guidelines for new instruction or for, and under M, for new construction with a historical district.
You could probably look at number 2.
Construction of new buildings compatible with surrounding historical buildings in terms of scale, height, materials, and character, but easily distinguished from the historical buildings. And I believe that's where we are.
Sure.
So, number 2 on M as well. I don't believe that anything else there applies. Does anyone see something I'm missing?
Nope.
Entertain a motion for approval of the certificate of appropriateness for 410 Main.
So moved.
Greg has moved. Is there a second? Second. Great, thank you. Then moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
I think that's gonna make that look less,
Pardon?
I think that's gonna make the front of the building look better than, looks kind of blah right now.
Beautiful
I think that
Thomas Workforce is gonna be a very good neighbor down there.
would be pretty cool.
Good. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Hey,
Hey,
How you doing?
do you have your gala tickets yet for the library? Oh, wait, I can't even come see you, right?
Well, we always get email.
We'll make sure that someone will contact.
Absolutely. Thank you.
okay, any commissioner comments? I
Okay, staff comments?
have none.
There a motion for adjournment?
You move all second. Boom.
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
And
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
So the next meeting is the ship, is the next
That was one of the quickest meetings we've
is
ever done.
the
Regular